Welcome to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, and today we're here at MJ Harrington Jewelry in Newport to celebrate their 75 years of serving our Lake Sunapee region. David Lantz, the owner, will join me to give us a history lesson on this Main Street Newport business. We'll also hear from customers, employees, and other local businesses about the value of this enterprise to our Sunapee region. But first, a few words from another one of the underwriters that make your Yankee Chronicle possible. Please stay with us.
This program is supported by the Innertown Record, your weekly hometown community newspaper covering the Kearsarge-Sunapee Sunshine region of New Hampshire. The Innertown Record.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. I'm your host, Abby Peel, coming to you from MJ Harrington Jewelers here on Main Street in Newport, celebrating 75 years of service to this town and to you, those jewelry lovers out there. And I'm now joined by the owner, David Lantz. Hello, David.
Good morning, Abby.
Happy 75th celebration. And I should mention that you are only 4 years younger, so it's not your 75th birthday as well. It's just MJ
Not
Harrington.
quite. That is correct.
Congratulations on such a huge milestone for any business, but specifically you guys right here in the heart of Newport. How's it feel to be celebrating 75 years?
It's pretty overwhelming when I start to think about the fact that we've been fortunate to hang around for 75 years and hope to do so for a long time into the future. The business actually started, though, my aunt and uncle bought a going business that had been run by a guy named Maurice Downing for about 22 years. And then, interestingly, Uncle Mike and Aunt Phyllis ran it for 22, had no children, sold it to my dad, who had been a watchmaker since the Second World War. He went to school on the GI Bill. But my Uncle Mike, most people are not aware, had to quit school in 8th grade to support his family during the Depression.
Wow.
So he was really kind of a self-made guy, and he was a self-taught watchmaker. He loved me. He was a natural mechanic, so he fixed everything from electric razors to clocks to watches, and they lived above the store, so they just worked all the time. So after their 22-year hitch, they were ready to retire and move to Florida. And having no children, they had that flexibility.
Sure.
So the store really began, though, back in the 1800s, and there was a gentleman by the name of Woodbury, Amos Woodbury, and then he sold to a guy after his son George joined him. They sold to an N.A. Norrie, and there were a couple of changes along the way, and then Mr. Downing bought the business in the 20s and made it somehow survive through the Great Depression and was very active in this community as Rotarian and other service organizations. I guess the theme of service seems to run deep in the business, and it was something my dad and uncles, and my aunt were very clear about. They just said, hey, listen, you're here to serve the community in whatever way, so sometimes we can be serving in capacities other than the actual jewelry world, but it's just fun to be part of that. So
definitely.
That's how it's evolved in 1992. 22 years, interestingly, after Dad, and it wasn't planned this way, but he had the helm for 22 years and sold it to my brother Jeff and I, and then my brother Jeff moved to Denver in 1996, I believe, and I bought him out. So I've sort of disrupted that chain of 22 years, because I've been at it now for 31 years. And during that time, my first job was actually in New London. We opened a store in New London in 1976. And that was my first official job, and Phyllis and Mike Harrington came out of retirement to help me out for 3 months, and then come January 1st, they were gone. And they just said, you're on your own. So we hired one other person, and it was a small operation, but we were there for almost 20 years. And in the interim, we opened a store in Claremont in 1990, and that store was around for 20 years, and we closed that store in 2010.
Wow.
And really focused on this location. This has really been the heart and soul of our business forever, and we have old repairs that go back to 1952. We have an old watch we have not been able to find a family for, so it's in the downstairs vault. Hopefully someday we'll make a connection, and a grandchild or somebody will be able to identify it as their grandmother's or
How cool is
So
that?
yeah, we hang on to everything. We've got a lot of space with big vault upstairs, but the same size vault downstairs. So we have a lot of storage area for really nice things.
I'm sure if some of those pieces could talk, you would love to know what they could say.
I sure would.
Talk about today currently. Obviously, you're still very successful because you just celebrated 75 years, but the staff and everything makes this such a wonderful place to be.
It does. We have a great crew. We have a finance lady that's been with us almost 25 years. We have goldsmiths. One has been with me over 20 years, another one over 30 years. And it's refreshing, and certain levels of comfort exist when you've got that kind of quality people around you every day.
Right.
And we've got a couple of relatively new salespeople, that one's almost 7 years, the other's almost 4, and they've just absorbed the industry wonderfully, and they get people, and they really communicate well, and that's half the battle. They can always learn about jewelry if there are people like you that love to communicate.
Right, of course.
I mean, you would slide in here with no problem because you just are very at ease communicating with folks. So
Pretty
that's the
things
kind of thing.
and working with
That's
people,
right.
sure.
There
I'd be
you go.
happy to work here. Yes,
So
definitely.
that's what really makes it go, and we have been very blessed with a lot of support from the
You
communities
absolutely have.
over the years, and
Yeah.
we feel very, very fortunate.
Definitely. Just recap quickly, how did the big 75th celebration go? I loved your ramp up to the 75 days with a picture each day on social media. That was really fun to see. But how was the big party to celebrate?
The big party was fun. It was technically a business after hours, which the local Chamber of Commerce's
Sure.
get together, and so the Lake Sunapee Region Chamber and the Newport Chamber kind of co-sponsored it, and we had close to 100 people that night here, and we gave away all kinds of gifts, and during the course of that week, last week, we gave away a couple of pieces of jewelry every day, some of which we made, some of which was donated by different vendors that we've worked with for most of our company's history.
Great.
And they wanted to be part of it, so they sent things to us, and it was just a really fun week, and now we've sort of felt like we're kicking off. Who knows what the rest of the year will hold.
Sure.
We will have an estate sale later on this summer, and we'll just do a lot of things that we can connect logically to the 75th. But I like the idea media lady Stephanie said, let's do a picture every day for 75
I
days.
loved it.
And it was such fun because I had no idea. I just gave her all the pictures I could find.
Sure.
And she found a bunch more, and I had no idea every day what would be on the
It was a really fun thing to
Facebook
see,
page.
and be able to see somebody and say, hey, I know exactly who that is. So really fun. Well, David, I hope that you every day just feel like you've done such great success here for MJ Harrington's, and I'm sure you've made your aunt and uncle very, very proud, because they're the ones that got you here to start this wonderful thing.
They did. Thank you very much
Thank you,
for being
David.
here, Abby.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
When we return, we'll hear from a few of David's employees about working in this wonderful business. First, these words from another YCN supporter. Please stay with us.
This program is supported by H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Their full-service model offers oil delivery, propane, motor fuels with design, installation, service, and maintenance of all types of oil, gas, and alternative energy systems, as well as air conditioning, water conditioning systems, and their highly trained and friendly staff will assist you throughout the process of buying, installing, and servicing a full line of energy products. H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating.
Welcome back to Yankee Chronicle. We are coming to you from MJ Harrington Jewelry in Newport, celebrating 75 years of providing great products, craftsmanship, and employment at this venerable business. I'm Abby Peel, your host. Let's hear from a few folks that have been in the employment of MJ Harrington's over the years.
I started out here as an engraver. It was a pantograph machine, and you kind of learned, you put letters in and all that, and you just do that with gifts and such, and started there, and I showed an interest in doing jewelry, and Dave Lantz was gracious enough to get me a spot.
My Bachelor of Fine Arts degree was in metalsmithing and jewelry from University of Iowa, and I did a lot of jewelry. I also did a lot of larger silver work, teapots and things like that, larger hollowware type of things. Yeah, from there I went on to get a MFA in ceramics.
Saw my work ethic and saw what I could do, and he's like, yeah, let's give this guy a try. And slowly but surely I worked my way over here, and you know, almost 22 years later, I'm now a full-time bench jeweler here. I've got certifications, yeah, JA certified bench jeweler. Yeah, but it's been really fun. Just learning different things and figuring out, you know, how metal works and how you melt things and form, and just a very fun craft.
Dave hired me right around 99, I think, and then I worked with Dave's dad for a long time before Dave moved from Claremont back over here.
It actually starts with a sketch, you know, sometimes when you're doing custom work, and just talking to the customer and seeing how things go and what their tastes are, what they enjoy for jewelry. And then for on the learning side of things, you almost kind of learn new things as you're going to, which is really cool. He always encourages us to do more education, and that's always been great that he does that. What Dave allowed me to do was just work down here. It was really Dave Ernster and Andy Rollins who really helped me out with that, and they kind of just progressed everything along the way. When I had taken actually a jewelry class at my high school in Kearsarge, and I just really enjoyed it. So I kind of just tried a couple of things, tried a couple stock jobs, and you know, he really liked how they were coming along. And
well, when I got out of grad school, actually, I did work for doing some bench jewelry in Pennsylvania, in Pittsburgh. I worked for a guy there, and it was really interesting, you know, to see that side of the industry. And then when I moved to New Hampshire, I actually did work in Concord for a little while for another jewelry store there, doing some bench work there as well.
Because I was young, I was 16 years old when I first started here. And so it was more or less, I was brought up there in a sales capacity where I did some sales floor work. And that's when I started to see the customers more and then interact. And he was kind of just watching from afar, you know. And after that, you know, I just started doing more custom work and then seeing customers myself. And he would sort of listen in from afar. He never really would come up, and he might say a couple things like, oh, this guy's really good, yeah, that sort of thing. But he'd sort of just listen in, and I'd ask how I would do, and he's like, you did really well. And so I just kept on going with that, and it worked out.
What lured me up here? Well, I really love to ski and mountain bike, and I love the lakes. I grew up on the Mississippi River, and this is just really a beautiful area. You know, I mean, Seacoast is nice too, but it's awful lot of people in the way down there.
I've had some really fun interactions with customers, and it's just fun to kind of meet new people and see what they like in jewelry, what their purpose was for coming to this jewelry store. And one of the things is just you get to just have different personalities, you know, and kind of get comfortable with them and kind of get through certain barriers. And I'm grateful to be a part of that. And it's just one instance that comes to mind was I was working on a platinum piece. It was a platinum pendant and custom build, and the woman had all these different stones. They all had a meaning to her. But it was just very nice, and we had kind of back and forth. You know, her husband had some input as well, and it was just fun to have that final thing. We got to laughing and joking, and she loved the final piece. It came out to her liking, which was always great.
I worked with Dave's dad for a long time before Dave moved from Claremont back over here. So the two of them are peas in a pod, really. You know, they really are focused on the community and the customer and trying to serve people the best that they possibly can. You know, I think they've really put that above anything, really. You know.
You know, first thing you always ask the customer is, would you like coffee, a cup of tea, or ice pops? And what's really funny too is a lot of people they'll go with ice pops, and these guys are like, you know, they're adults, they're not little kids, you know, they're coming in. And it's fun to see when they get ice pops, and of course Dave Lantz loves ice pops too. I mean, you'll have them throughout the day. But it's a really cool thing. You come in, you get comfortable and you, it just kind of feels like family. So you're relaxed and enjoy yourself. And I just wanted to say to Dave Lantz that thank you for taking a chance on a 16-year-old kid. And it's been great. And congratulations, 75 years.
Congratulations, David.
On 75 years.
75 years.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, David.
Thank you all. When we return, we'll hear from some of Dave's fellow business leaders in the Lake Sunapee region on the impact that he and his business have had in this corporate citizen. But first, these words from the good folks that make our communities the great places they are, the businesses we know and love and support YCN.
This program is supported by Main Street Bookends of Warner for books, toys, games, cards, gifts, and a gallery of local art. Main Street Bookends of Warner.
Welcome back to your Yankee Chronicle, coming to you from MJ Harrington Jewelry here in Newport. I'm your host, Abby Peel. The sign of a really good business that can sustain for 75 years is the respect that other business people and leaders have for each other. Let's now hear from a few that hold David Lantz and MJ Harrington in that high regard.
Yeah, especially with the chamber. He does business after hours, so he goes to all of those and he interacts with all the other business people. He also helps other businesses. I know that Megan Maver runs the Newport Ballroom, and that's on the 3rd floor in David's building, and she has an excellent relationship with him as far as business goes.
I grew up here, and obviously I think everybody has known Harringtons in one form or the other for many different reasons. So my first interaction was just in high school, buying my high school girlfriend a locket. That was my first interaction of Harringtons.
I have worked with David on projects for about 17 years now. I've been here 22. I've worked with his dad, I've worked with a brother, I've worked with David. I worked with David on several organizations, the Econ organization, the Newport Area Chamber of Commerce.
I've had great experience with MJ Harrington Company and Dave Lantz and his whole staff and Dave's dad, Jim Lantz. As a customer, I've bought jewelry for my wife there. As a business owner here in Newport, Harrington's has advertised religiously with me from the get-go.
He is an amazing person to work with, so is his staff. His staff is wonderful. They're always very helpful. They always go above and beyond, and I believe it's because of the leadership that they have in the store.
The story I always tell in my early days, so WCNL, we came back to Newport in 2007, and Dave's dad, Jim, would walk Main Street. He was like the godfather of downtown. He owned downtown, and he deeply cared about the aesthetics and how downtown Main Street worked. And he would pop in and he would make suggestions. I think you should do this, I think you should do that. And they're usually pretty accurate and right. But he sat me down one time and he goes, let me tell you something. I'm going to give you the best piece of advice that somebody gave me when I first got into business. Always turn a profit. Because if you don't turn a profit, you won't be here for your customers.
I am a good customer. I enjoy shopping.
His son Dave, I just absolutely love Dave Lantz. He is one of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, and just caring and compassionate and loves not just Newport but all the surrounding towns and wants all of us to do well. Always gives back to our community from donations or willing to engrave things that you didn't think could be engraved.
He's on the chamber board and has been on the chamber board longer than I have, and I've been on the chamber board 17 years. He is also on the ecom board. He's on the board of directors at Sugar River Bank. So he intertwines with everybody in the community, and he just does a brilliant job.
Just wonderful, wonderful individual, and we're very lucky to have MJ Harrington Company here in our community.
David's just my friend and has been for a long, long time.
It's just so important that we spend our money locally, because when you buy your jewelry or your lockets or some chalice or whatnot from Harrington's, you know that that money comes right back into the community. He's hiring local people, paying local property tax, and giving back to the Opera House, to the Library Arts Center, to the Rec Center, or to the Little League team or Boy Scouts. You don't get that when you buy through a box store or you buy online because it's $3 cheaper and you get free shipping. Harrington's is here. They will fix your stuff if it breaks, and just again, very lucky to have them.
Happy 75th, David.
Thank you all. What more can be said about this good corporate citizen, MJ Harrington Jewelry? When we return, we'll hear from some of the people that truly appreciate what MJ Harrington Jewelry has to offer and their customers. But first, these messages from another one of your Yankee Chronicle underwriters.
This program is supported by Echo Communications, a digitally integrated commercial printer and mailer located in New London, New Hampshire since 1997, with roots going back much further as the country press, AccuMail, and the home of the Kearsarge shopper. Echo Communications.
Welcome back to your Yankee Chronicle, coming to you as we celebrate 75 years of this wonderful business, MJ Harrington Jewelry in Newport. I'm Abby Peel. The people that really make David and his crew the success that they have become is their customers. Let's visit a few and hear why they hold MJ Harrington in such high regard and keep returning.
I come from a family that has done business with MJ Harringtons for 4 generations. My grandparents, my parents, my husband, myself, and now my children. Spent 21 years with my husband in the military, and we would come back home and I would have my jewelry checked and need to have it fixed, and they would always take it in, try to get it done while I was home. If I wasn't able to get it before I would have to go back, it was always mailed to us, safe and secure. I wanted a tanzanite ring when I was younger, and I was going on a cruise and wanted to get one while I was gone. They convinced me to borrow one of theirs that they had in stock that I loved to wear down and compare it when I got to the cruise. Needless to say, Harrington's won. I was pregnant and my wedding ring wouldn't fit anymore. I was embarrassed to not have a wedding ring on. David loaned me one so I would feel better about myself. Their loyalty is unbelievable. Their creativity is over the top. Their honesty is just unbelievable. There's nothing like it. For one of our anniversaries, my husband bought me these diamond hoop earrings. To me, they're unique because the diamonds are on the outside and the inside of the hoop. They were beautiful items at MJ Harrington's. Also, my grandmother had left these diamond studs for me, and David reset them into a martini set a couple of years ago. There's no pressure when buying with MJ Harrington's. I have a chain on now that I've had to borrow from David. My husband bought me a pendant from them for Valentine's Day. I got the other chain knotted up. David insisted that I borrow a chain. He doesn't write anything down. He trusts me. My son-in-law knew when he came into the family that that was the only place to go. He asked me to go with him to help design the engagement ring. And in the end, they designed a beautiful ring for our daughter. When my husband wanted to get married, he didn't have very much money. He worked his tail off, saved everything he had to buy me a diamond. He said at 20 years, we would upgrade. I went in to see Bill Howell, who worked with David for 16 years. Bill helped me design a beautiful wedding ring and incorporated my original diamonds into it. I'm very sentimental and did not want to leave those out. I'm very happy with the end result and was fortunate enough to inherit some jewelry from my grandparents. My grandmother had done some damage to the jewelry and I took the pieces to MJ Harrington's. They helped me design a new ring. It was designed a little bit better than previously. My grandmother's had petals on it and they kind of made mine flatter like snowflakes so that I wouldn't destroy my ring. I've always wanted a tennis bracelet and it was one of the last items on my bucket list. Of course, this is the quality that you get from MJ Harrington's and I am thrilled to wear it. I have run into people near and far that have done business with MJ Harrington's. I was at a mall in Burlington, Mass, saw a woman with a beautiful ring, and she said, "Oh, thank you, my father's a jeweler." And I said, "Really, where?" It was David Lantz at MJ Harrington's. Through Bill Howell at MJ Harrington's, I met a lady named Barbara Hurley. Barbara was a very long-time customer of MJ Harrington's. She was 100 years old when I became a friend of hers. I spent many hours with her. She always looked at my jewelry and said, "MJ Harrington's, right?" And I said, "Yes, of course, Barbara." And when I told her that my daughter had gotten engaged, she said, "He did go to MJ Harrington's, right?" "Yes, Barbara." MJ Harrington's has so many loyal customers. It's just a testament to the quality of care, kindness, and loyalty that they have. David and Bill are two of the sweetest, most kind men that I've ever met in my life, and I've enjoyed every moment of doing business with them. We'd like to congratulate MJ Harrington's and David Lantz for 75 years of incredible service to our community.
Thank you to the folks that make any business a success and sustainable. We'd like to thank MJ Harrington Jewelry for allowing us to celebrate with them with their 75 years here on Main Street in Newport. Congratulations. Please join us next week at the same time for another edition of your Who, What, Where, and When show of the Dartmouth Lake Sunapee region. We'll be coming to you from New London Hospital as they prepare for their annual celebration of Hospital Days and the parade. Our replay of the game of the week is Stevens at Kearsarge Boys Basketball. All of our games replay at noon and 7 p.m. on Sundays and Mondays. Check out ycnnow.com for the most up-to-date schedules and on-demand viewing of all of our shows. Thanks again to David Lantz and his great crew here at MJ Harrington Jewelry in Newport for hosting us. They are another great local business that supports your Yankee Chronicle. I'm Abby Peel. Join us again next week at the same time for another edition.
This program is supported by H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Their full-service model offers oil delivery, propane, motor fuels with design, installation, service, and maintenance of all types of oil, gas, and alternative energy systems, as well as air conditioning, water conditioning systems, and their highly trained and friendly staff will assist you throughout the process of buying, installing, and servicing a full line of energy products. H.R. Clough and Kearsarge Heating. Echo Communications, a digitally integrated commercial printer and mailer located in New London, New Hampshire since 1997, with roots going back much further as the country press, AccuMail, and the home of the Kearsarge shopper. Echo Communications. Main Street Bookends of Warner, for books, toys, games, cards, gifts, and a gallery of local art. Main Street Bookends of Warner. The Innertown Record, your weekly hometown community newspaper covering the Kearsarge Sunapee Sunshine region of New Hampshire. The Innertown Record.